This is the Unrefined Unwind podcast, where we discuss current events, pop culture, local art and business, and our personal interests. And with me, as always, Ryan and Caleb. I was scrolling through Twitter, or I think it was Reddit maybe, or something, and you know how Reddit always has these like large threads of people discussing things, and came across one where it's, if you could commit a crime and you were guaranteed to get away with it, what would you do and why? And the the results from that have been quite astonishing. Ryan, what would you do?
This is an interesting one because you kind of want to find the balance between not harming anybody during the process, or at least personally, but also benefiting myself enough to make it worth it, right?
Why don't you want to harm anybody? You can get away with it.
Well, I mean, but the thing is at least personally, that's the crime I don't want to commit. Like,
I don't either.
I don't know, go around saying, man, I wish I could murder that person. Maybe unless I'm driving.
Whoa.
But, at least I know I can't get away with it right now. But so trying to find a happy median to where, nobody's in danger, but I also kind of get a benefit to a substantial degree. And I actually kind of fell on a kind of a weird one in that I would create fake identities, passports, items like that for me and my family, kind of the closest family. And it's really for two reasons. One is if I were to get in any trouble, or if I were to commit a crime and that's serious enough to the point where I would either go to jail, get in serious trouble, I at least have that fallback to fall back on. So it's almost like I get a get out of jail free card for when I do commit a crime that may impact somebody or get a little.
What crime do you want to commit? I want the ability to do this whenever. Basically,
right. It's like. I don't know what I want to do yet, but when I find out, I at least get a job.
I mean, at least you get the, you can skip that waiting line of trying to get your passports. I don't really know how expensive those things are. Caleb, I think how much was your passport? Because you've been abroad, right?
Like $150 or something like that.
Oh, I mean, Ryan, I guess you've been abroad too, right?
Yeah, it's been a few years, but yeah, we went on a cruise a couple years ago. And that's the other point. That's the second point is, I'm technically a citizen of another country, so that if I did kind of want those benefits,
you want citizenship.
Exactly. I want to be able, 100%. I want to have the flexibility of living here, doing my thing over here. But if I've got to have a second life, I don't have to worry about really anything.
You could essentially, Go ahead. I'm sorry, Caleb.
No, this is crazy. I feel like you could, you break your arm here. Maybe you see the price on some surgery. Like, okay, I'm going up to Canada. All right, I'm going up to Canada. I'm a Canadian citizen too. I'm going to let them treat me. And it's a good backup plan if there's like a nuclear war here or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I'm gonna pack up and go to.
Well, it's like a
Brazil.
social experiment almost. Like you were saying, you can go try out these other countries, see which one's the best, and go from there.
Yeah, and Caleb, if I am going to get medical treatment, I'm fixing everything that's wrong with me, and I'm running that bill up. I'm not breaking my arm. Shit, I gotta fix that. No, everything wrong with me. I'm running up the bill, and then I'm dipping out.
I feel that, man.
What about you, Caleb?
A boob job, everything.
A boob job for men. Thanks. Men do get the pec. They do get the pectoral implants.
Maybe my ab implants too.
Yeah. Is there
calf implants?
Yeah.
But maybe my fake identity is female, and I got to run up the bill before I can.
Easy.
Boom.
Yeah.
Easily
right.
done.
And Caleb, what about you, man? What do you think?
Man, I feel bad because I wasn't thinking so much about not hurting other people. But I don't want to kill anyone either. I think my thing would be scamming. I hear about these people. They just wake up and find new ways to scam, and I feel like it's so little work for so a bunch of reward. Why not? Run some sort of scams.
So, question for you: is this a one crime? You get one bank heist, you get one go, or is this one crime you can consistently commit it and never get caught committing that one crime?
I guess like when I read it, it was like maybe just a one-off type thing. Like you just do it and that's it, and you get away with it, which is like, I think a lot of people were saying, robbing banks, obviously was the biggest thing, and that's honestly, I think, probably what I would do. specifically go to like the Federal Reserve Bank in New York, where they have the largest stockpile of gold. I'm not sure how, I could, logistically do that, but that's what I would want to do. Cause I guess the way I look at it is it's the government, and the government has taken so much from everybody else. Might as well be in the hands of me. And,
I'm taking
I
some
can
back.
figure out.
Robin Hood.
Exactly.
Robin Hood over here.
Exactly.
All right, Caleb. All right, let's go. Let's take both routes, though. Let's both take both trains of thought. If you could commit, I want you to tell me if you could commit one crime, one scam, like your biggest scam, if you had to think off the top of your head what your biggest scam would be, and then what would your daily scam be? What would something that you do consistently?
I'm curious too, because you didn't say what scam. Yeah,
that's true too. See, I thought about this a little bit. You ever hear about these OnlyFans girls, maybe like Instagram, and they're like,
sure,
to even get in my DMs, you got to send me $100 on Cash App or something like that. It's out there. So I set up a bunch of these fake profiles, you know what I'm saying?
For the hardest hitting OnlyFans out there right now, I guess, right?
Yeah. For some of these ladies, and just have these pathetic people come and keep sending me money. Not to diss them. If you like sending money to women online, it's okay. I get it.
Right.
But just have them send it all to me and then just cash it out. But I feel like that's not really a one-off, is it? That's
residual income, baby. Yeah, that's coming in often.
Yeah. A one-off. I don't know. What's a good that's why I'm not scamming now, because I don't have any good ideas.
I mean, it's like you could rig the lottery, right? I mean, that's kind of like a one-off thing. You can rig it once somehow, but then also go in there and change the papers of not having to pay as much taxes on it too. I don't know. Maybe it's a joint thing you could do.
Is there a limit to which you would rig the lottery? Are you going for the big bucks? Or do you try and keep it low key, get a couple million?
Nah, I mean, because in my interpretation of it is like, yeah, exactly. It's a one-time thing. You're guaranteed to get away with it. So why go small? You got to go big. And I don't know, what are the biggest like jackpot earnings? Like, do you guys know of any?
I've seen some crazy ones for like 350 million type stuff.
Yeah. Right? Hey, I'd be cool with that, man. I mean, I'd try to hire some type of, I don't know, investor or something that can help me manage that money. Of course, go get my extravagant, luxurious items. But yeah.
So Eli, you said that you would attack the Federal Reserve or get the gold at least. I don't know how.
Attack them. Dang, I thought it was.
I guess you get to just walk in. It's your crime.
Walk right in at night when it's closed. You know what I'm saying? The whole,
What's your plan for liquidating that? How do you put that gold? Because you can't just walk up to some car dealership and be like, "I've got a brick of gold. Here you go."
Well, okay. Well, I guess that's a whole second logistical thing that I didn't really think of, but. Again, with that whole thing, it being set up as you get away with it, it's like when I get that gold, nobody's going to question me after it, right? I mean, can we assume that nobody's going to question where the gold came from, because it's kind of all under the whole thing? So I don't know, man. I mean, I guess just go right back to that bank where I sold it, where I got it from, and cash it in. You get what I'm saying? And I'd probably keep some gold. I mean, I'd probably keep some, because
just to
is
sleep
it good
on.
to invest in pure metals and stuff like that? Because, with inflation, keep going up and this, that, and the third. I mean, it's a real thing, right? Like, people are scared of banks and people don't trust them, and people want to have liquid assets that they can have. Like, I mean,
there's like the goal is like up there with stocks, right? I mean, people like, you buying stocks, you buying gold. I guess you're buying like NFTs now or whatever. But NFTs, they always have a gold.
But if you steal it, if you steal it, does the price of gold go down because you just took all the reserve, or does it shoot up because it's limited? Like I've watched Money Heist, and they took all the gold and the Spanish dollar crashed because that was their backup. Yeah.
So I guess that would require a little bit of research, and maybe I could tap in with some type of reserve person and see what that threshold is. Of course, I'll take all of it for myself and then return what that threshold is. That way it doesn't throw things off. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right.
Definitely, though, you gotta melt some down into melt some gold into like a solid gold guitar. That That's got to be on the list, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Like gold plated, like a solid gold guitar. I wonder how that would sound though.
I wonder how heavy that would be.
Probably got some
pretty
issues,
heavy.
Yeah.
Be pretty heavy. Yeah, I guess that would be one of those things that you don't play. It's just kind of
like a sit down guitar.
Yeah, that's like one of your biggest retirement assets, or not retirement. You got all that money and all that gold anyway. So, but yeah,
sorry.
You're good.
For a continuous thing, I've always wanted to be in the mafia.
Oh, okay.
Right? That's like the cool guys walking around in suits doing all the cool stuff.
Well, I guess
burning buildings, cool dude.
I guess when I think of the mafia, it's like I think of like the 50s and 60s, with the suits and the top hat type. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, but like, so you wanted to how do you mean you would want to start like your own little mafia thing, or you would just want to try to find your way into it?
I want to be in the family, in the movies are like, you're in the family now, son, or something. I don't know, and just like bring me in, raise me up through the ranks, and probably get killed by one of my friends or something. I don't know. How the mafia goes, yeah.
So with that being said, it kind of brings me to the idea of the shopping cart theory. And I'm not sure if either of you have heard of it, but for the listeners at home, the shopping cart theory it's kind of the test of a person if a person is kind of self-governing. So the shopping cart theory is we all know that returning your shopping cart to the stall, the cart stall, is kind of morally the right thing to do. We're not told to do it. We're not required to do it. And we're not recognized for doing it, but we know that objectively it is the right thing to do, to return your cart to the stall. On the flip side of that, there's also no punishment. There's no consequence for not doing it. No one will ever look at you wrong or say anything to you about returning the cart. It's just the idea that it's morally the right thing to do, and so you do it or you don't do it. I'm just curious, kind of based on that, we're committing crimes here, like we're trying to think
getting
of ways
to know each other here. Okay.
Right. We've got our crime, but when you think about the shopping cart theory, Caleb, what does that kind of mean to you? And if you could kind of essentially, would you return the cart yourself?
Or that's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. We know what do you return your shopping carts, Caleb?
I return my shopping cart. I rarely use shopping carts actually, but I do return them. I guess it's mostly out of fear. Yeah, I don't think I do it out of goodness of heart. I am like, I don't know.
Well, fear of what?
Fear of
who? Somebody judging you, the cart boy taking in the cart.
Yeah, someone
just mean mugging you.
I'm also I guess I am kind of thinking about the people like, oh, they're gonna have to come out and get them all up. But yeah, I generally return it. Also, it's like if I'm ever in a parking lot and I see a cart in a space, I get super furious. Honestly.
Okay.
So I don't want to put anybody else in the situation. I probably have not returned it before, but usually I do. Sometimes the cart rack to return them is further than the store, so I'll just go back in the store. Like, hey.
I mean, I think you said me right. I definitely return my shopping carts, but I think a lot of that has to do with that was like my first job when I was in high school. When I was 16, I worked at a grocery store, and that was obviously one of my that was in my job description. I had to go retrieve the carts from the outside. What are the carousel things or whatever the heck they call them, carting toll things. But anyways, I always used to get so mad when I have to go, like, there'd be always like 2 or 3 carts just way out in the freaking parking lot. And it's like, man, you just took them, to the place where they're supposed to go and make, everybody's job a little bit easier. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I can't say that I've always returned it because I'm pretty sure I've probably done it, I don't know. I feel like I have probably not always done it. I don't want to seem holier than thou, but I will say 99% of the time I have returned them. And yeah.
Now on the flip side, have you ever been driving through a packed parking lot, driving down each row, you get to a primetime parking spot, you go to whip it in, and boom, there's like 3 carts because people just started their own cart stall. Ever happened to you?
Exactly.
Yeah. 100%.
100%.
That's why the space is there.
Yeah, that's probably one of the most infuriating things. But also, what kind of monster do you have to be? Like, especially at like Walmart is probably the most to like ramp it up onto the curb to the point where like it's sitting on a tree or some shit, and you're just it took you more effort to lift the thing up and over the curb and throw it into the tree than it would have just walked it 10 feet.
Well, it's just like, especially in Fayetteville, dude, it's like maybe there's a reason for it. You know, maybe those guys that don't return their shopping carts, maybe they're thinking of the homeless and the people that need those and push those around, because it's probably a lot easier for them to go get a straggling cart, you know, just randomly out in the parking lot than probably in the thing. But
you go to Aldi, man, you know, you gotta do it. You gotta get that quarterback.
True. You gotta get that quarter back.
I guess these days a quarter is probably worth like a penny, but you know, still.
Yeah. It sounds like Eli's a glass half full kind of person, because I definitely wasn't thinking any justification for it. But I suppose if you like,
I mean, I try to, you know, always try to make the best out of you know, negative situations, I guess.
Yeah, that's the difference between a realist, pessimist, and an optimist, huh? Some see the glass half full, some see it half empty, others see it as a glass that just has half full of water.
Yeah, literally. But it kind of makes me think of, you know, that the other question is like, are people morally good, right, or generally good or generally bad type of thing? And it's like, you know, and then like when we were talking about the crimes and what we would, you know, be doing if we could get away with this, like the same people that say that they would murder somebody, they're not returning their shopping cart. They're not returning their shopping cart. But
so there's a correlation there, huh?
There has to be some type of correlation there. But I think I think that people are generally good. I think that I will say that. I think people are generally good.
I would love to check like Jeffrey Dahmer, these Charles Manson, like, were they returning their carts? You know? I don't know. But are people good? Is humanity good?
I would say no, probably not. Personally, I would say that if I had to put my life in a random person's hands, I bet you probably 70% of the time I'm let down. And
I think, you know, a big part of our safety just as humans, like everybody, is kind of in the lives of everybody else's too. It's like everybody is responsible for everybody else's, you know, safe being. I mean, in the example, it's just like driving. Like the most simple answer is like, you know, stand in your lane. You know, and I guess, you know, doing the speed limit and, you know, putting your turn signal on and just being courteous that way. Like, I think just things like that. I mean, I don't know.
But how often are people texting? How often are people drunk driving? Just because there aren't accidents and deaths doesn't mean there's the omission of negligence. And
I mean a lot, but I feel like, you know, a lot of stuff like was with as many first responders, you know, doing their jobs and all these. I mean, even these big old manufacturing plants that are kind of dangerous and have dangerous equipment. Everybody doing their job, making sure that it doesn't affect anybody else, you know, and doing it to the best of their ability. Like, I think just everything kind of works in tandem to a degree, and a lot of people kind of rely on a lot of people. I don't know.
Absolutely.
But is it because of the order that's currently in place? And if you remove that order, so the shopping cart theory is an insight to self-governing.
Right.
Like there's no, you don't get rewarded for it. There's no consequences for it.
Right. And you're saying people are doing the jobs and the right thing mostly because they're getting paid to do it. And
exactly.
This, that, and third. Yeah.
There used to be a pumpkin patch in Eastover. We would get pumpkins around Halloween, and oftentimes the guy wasn't there. He just put the prices out and had a jar full of money.
Sure.
And I mean, the jar was always full. I mean, I guess somebody maybe stole it from at some point, but I think it's that. I don't know. Do you think people were just being good, or did they think somebody was actually watching? Because, you know, when I think about like the questions of like if humanity is good, it's like, I guess the short answer is yes, but the long answer is like, what is good in some ways, you know? Like, obviously you don't want people murdering and maiming, but
that's
I don't know.
That's like pure evil. You know what I'm saying? That's like pure evil almost.
But do you think goodness is in your intent? Like, I'm trying to do good, or do you think it's because of like your effect?
So let me clarify. Maybe I do think people are morally good, but I think people are more selfish than they are good.
Yeah, I mean, I
sorry?
think
What?
they're more selfish than they are good. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like nobody's really, you're saying that most people are just concerned with themselves and they're not really worried about.
I think when they're forced between choosing what's good for the overall public versus what would benefit themselves, they would choose something that benefit. I mean, look, in our crimes, I didn't say I would steal all the money to give it and end world hunger. I don't think any of us thought that. You know what I mean? Well, we all thought, how can we benit ourselves? We could have ended world hunger. We could have ended every issue.
We've been had.
we are evil.
Yeah, we're evil.
And it goes back to that old kind of saying, or that old riddle where you see a train rolling down the street, right, or rolling down the runway, right? And you can decide if the train will kill 5 people or if it kills 1 person. 9 times out of 10, or, without knowing these people, you kill the 1 person because the 5 lives matter more, right? But then you say, okay, the single person is your mother. Do you kill the 5 random people, or do you let it kill your mother still? You don't have to answer that. You can if you want to. No, but it goes back to show, because it personally affects me, I'll choose everything over I'll choose my mom over everything.
You're exactly right. I mean, I would do the same thing. I'd obviously choose my mom over, the 5 people. And I think most people would probably say the same thing. But I don't know if that's I guess that might be being selfish when you're talking about the grand scheme of like people, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I want to ask, am I a good guy if I don't know, if I attempt to do a good thing, but it actually has bad results? I don't know. Like
good intentions that are spoiled or soiled by negative outcomes make people bitter, but they don't necessarily I've had situations, especially at work, where I've gone out of my way to try and help somebody, and I personally ended with a negative outcome that I wish I would have never done it. I know I was trying to be a good person, and I think that's what matters the most, right? Who particularly cares what other people think? If I know that I was trying to be a good person and it didn't work out the way, at least I chose to be good versus chose to go the other way or ignore it altogether.
Yeah. I hear that. But the whole self-governance thing, that's a whole new that's a whole other can of worms too, because it's like who's enforcing it. But
right.
I don't know.
I think we're better off with a little bit of rules, set of rules, huh?
Yeah. Rules put in place to reduce harm.
I think for the most part. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, I think this is going to take us to our next official segment, which we call the unaffiliated unpacking, where we discuss, trending, I guess you could call them political based topics, but just pretty much stuff that's in the trending debate that's going on in society, and really just in the wake of all of these mass shootings, it's just hard to not talk about what everybody else is talking about, and it's really guns and gun control. And it's like, what are some ideas around preventing these mass shootings from happening? What is something that maybe the government can do to just, I don't know, do something to help? Because obviously this stuff has to stop. It's like we're the only country that has these problems and all this other stuff. Like what are some things?
And before we answer, I just want to say I appreciate you asking what we can do. Everyone is kind of focusing on what had happened, but they don't really have that conversation around what we can do. And I think it's also important to have, and maybe a lot of people are, but Caleb, what do you think?
Well, there's different levels to it. Just like you said, like there's the level of the person doing the shooting and then there's the level of like acquiring the gun, and then there's the level of like the safety of the places. So I think there's things you can do at all those levels. A lot of the things, and I guess most of it's focused on like acquiring the gun. What if I hear about this community support, community referral letter, community recommendation letters,
Oh, like
if you're
references.
exactly, yeah, if you're a young person wanting to buy a gun, maybe get a few letters from people in the community who are older who can vouch for you, vouch for your mental health or things like that.
So it's almost like the same thing that you would do like if you were going to get a job. You're applying for some type of job. You usually have to get references, right? And most of them, I
Yeah.
guess, do check your references. All right. So yeah, I mean that's definitely. I mean, I think that's a good start. What do you think, Ryan?
Well, I think it's definitely like with job references, right? Because that's kind of the most the biggest parallel we can draw there is what makes a job reference credible, right? Is they've
Yeah.
worked in the
Definitely.
position, they manage, they've got a background. How would you kind of verify that those are credible resources? It's not just like my grandpa saying, "Yeah, Cuddy could have a gun." Like how do you make a credible argument for that?
I mean, Caleb, do you have anything just off the top of your head since you brought that up?
Well, I would definitely say, it has to be from someone who, has a kind of a background check, but really
Sure.
that's a complicated question. I'm really not sure like where you draw the line and where this person is credible. Everyone can't get a letter from a senator, everyone can't get a letter
Right.
from the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
But I would just think someone older in the community with a decent record, maybe they haven't shot anybody.
Are they gun owners themselves? Are we just like
That's
almost
what
like
I
you're
would
creating
think.
a community?
I would yeah.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Eli. I think
No, I was just gonna say, it's I would think as part of the references you would have to have somebody that's at least licensed, I guess is the best terminology to have to own a firearm. And I would even, raise the stakes a little bit higher and say that, I guess everybody, it'd be with as many people that own weapons now and guns now. I mean, there's more guns than people. I think pretty much everybody knows that, in America, it seems like. It's like everybody has a weapon. So trying to get those people to kind of get on board with, being a verifiable reference, so to speak, that would be tough. But I would say, included in one of those references, I guess, I mean, what makes sense to me is to like have somebody that has been through a firearms training program and has got their maybe their concealed carry or something. Because when you get a concealed carry, you have to take a firearms class, safety and everything like that. So maybe one or two out of those, however many references, has to be qualified to, legally have a firearm, or maybe there's, programs that you could set up with your local police departments. But I guess that would all come down to a huge funding and logistical, problem. But it's just like that you can't tell me the government doesn't have the money, right? I mean, you just can't tell me that.
You got money for a lot of things. They can figure it out.
And personally, like the process that I had to go through to get my concealed carry permit, I had to take the classes. Then I had to go to my sheriff's department and I had to go through that county. I had to get pre-approved before I could go and request it. And then I had to get my fingerprint stamp. I'm not saying it was a hard process to get it. It was just a process nonetheless. And I think adding in some type of, generic evaluation behind getting that approval into that process. I mean, it's already, simple enough or straightforward enough. I mean, I could see it, through your sheriff's office, like you said, through the police department, getting that kind of resource.
Well, I think that would essentially, I guess, with that, it would just cause more time that it would take. It would just result in more time that it would take to purchase.
Which isn't a bad thing, I don't think.
That kind of brings me to the next thing that a lot of people are talking about is like waiting periods for getting these firearms. And for me, I don't necessarily think waiting periods would be as effective, because if you've got somebody that is just evil, I mean, there's just evil in this world, in my opinion. I think that it's just some people are just freaking evil. And that's just, if they want to do harm, they're going to do harm regardless of, them setting them back 3 weeks or a month or 6 months, but I guess, obviously you can argue that because there have been, cases where people plan to do stuff and then something tripped them up and kind of got in their way and interrupted them, and they,
I do think, of course, there are some, evil, but a waiting period is going to give like maybe someone who's just manic, has episodes, they'll have like a waiting period and have some time to rethink, like you said, especially young people, kids doing stuff like this. They feel one way one month, and then the next month they feel a completely different way.
with the waiting periods, I do understand how people would suggest that in the first place, especially when especially these past couple shootings is the people like the one in the hospital. I'm not sure exactly where that was, and Uvalde and stuff. These guys purchased these weapons hours before or days before even, and it's just having that having these things so easily accessible. It seems like there should be a way to, fix that, but I just don't know. It's also
Right.
delicate, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's like the next point that people kind of bring up is the constant mental health eval check-ins, and I really kind of disagree with that because a lot of these events and these mass shootings have occurred to new gun owners. It's not the people that have had the guns for years and years, and
Sure.
it's through it's through the people that are whether something happens in their life or they're just off the rails.
Well, with that. I'm sorry. With that being said, though, it's like, but if these guys are new gun owners that are just, that are most of the guys that haven't owned guns before that are doing these mass shootings. So it's like, if they go and buy a gun, a mental evaluation could be effective though, because they haven't owned guns before.
So let me clarify. I think having a mental health eval the first time when you first purchase a firearm is a great idea. An initial eval is 100% a great idea. But for the consistent gun owners, like a check-in or something like a checkup, I really don't see that being effective. But that's a great point that I need to clarify. Is I think an eval is almost unquestionable to have. You can't just walk into Dick's and buy one. But
I think a consistent one, you know what, I agree about maybe like the mass shooting thing, but I do wonder if like a consistent one might help with suicide, which is a whole nother issue. But like a lot of people,
so it kind of gets that conversation started between.
So what are you saying there, Caleb? Like you're saying gun owners that go and purchase a gun have an initial type of mental evaluation check, and then what are you saying? Like maybe like you would go to the dentist, or you would go get
every few years or so.
Every few years, every year, something like that.
And while the periodic one, I was just saying like it might not be the most relevant for mass shootings, but I think it maybe be more relevant for like self-inflicted. People
agree.
Because I think long term gun owners, I gotta look at the numbers on that, but I'm pretty sure a lot of suicide by gun is people who just have one for a while. I don't.
Well, what about these? What about these? The guys that it seems like oftentimes it's a lot of young guys that are getting their hands on these guns, to do all these things, and that it's kind of like it poses the age restriction type of question. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like the biggest thing is like I think somebody I've been seeing like they want to raise the age to purchase a firearm to be 21, and that's like what they call quote unquote the assault style rifle weapons to 21, not the shotguns and the hunting rifles or whatever. That would I guess.
So that's like for sport, the sport guns type thing,
right? For game, and everything like that. What do you think about age restrictions? Bumping that up to 21 before you can get semi-automatic rifles that have more than 10 bullets in a clip, so to speak. What do you think about that?
I like that. I like the age restriction. I don't know the exact line. I hear 21. I hear 25 from some people. But
that begs the question though. Like you've got kids 17, 18 years old going into the military and wielding these firearms. But I think the main difference is that they've got proper training. They know the inside out of a gun. They can take apart, put a gun back together with their eyes closed.
That's their job, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, they're getting trained to do it. But what happens when they get out of what happens if they were to get out of the service before they turned 21? Would they? I mean, okay, so I guess how the military is, it's like when they issue you a service weapon, you don't take that, post service. So it's just like, some of these guys probably don't own guns, that have been in the military, but a lot of them probably do. But what do you do at that point though? It's like, do they retain their guns just because they've had the training of the military, or, it's kind of weird, right?
It is weird. I mean, but I guess at the end of the day, you can't drive the tanks once you get out, so
sort of that training is no longer kind of applicable. So you kind of like a citizen at that point and you follow the civilian rules?
I would, that's a good question. I would wonder about that. I wouldn't mind people coming out of the military having maybe like special permissions in some way, but also I should preface this. I'm a non-gun owner. I think y'all are strapped. All right, so everyone just ignore everything I'm saying. I'm ignorant on this. I haven't shot guns since Boy Scouts. I was pretty good at skeet shooting though.
Okay.
But that's a good point, is that exception. You've got the proper training, you've used it, you know it inside and out. Maybe there is the exception for people who are properly acclimated to the use.
One other thing, and this is like, we've talked about the mental health level, the gun access level in the schools. I hear a lot of people talk about securing the schools, maybe having, teachers perhaps armed or whatnot. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if I actually support this, but especially in a rural area, though, it seems almost like a pretty good idea, because the response time for law enforcement, maybe like just a culture of people who know guns and have a safety and respect for them and things like that. What do y'all think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I did read a Twitter post that was like, teachers went to school to teach, not play G.I. Joe. So, there's kind of that idea that there's some teachers that don't want to do that. But I can tell you right now, I think there's a lot of teachers who'd be more than happy to. What do you think, Eli?
Well, I mean, just I wouldn't be surprised. And I kind of pretty much think that people at the high school I went to were carrying, and I think that was kind of, I don't know, but I mean, it's not that I felt I didn't feel unsafe there, but I mean, I guess I felt a little bit better kind of knowing that if something were to happen, that there was people that were trained, that what I thought may have had it. And
that's true.
But I think the biggest thing is, with the whole gun control thing and everything, it's like, you could do things with guns and everything, but what about what's happening right now? It's like the biggest thing is, I think probably is, not necessarily locking down these schools, but we got to do something with these schools. Obviously there's a lot of mental, things that could come out with, locking your kids up essentially in like a prison type environment. But, if there's an issue, I feel like, shouldn't you start there with, the most vulnerable spots? Like a lot of people say one-way ins and gated, check-ins and everything like that. And just,
somewhere in the Middle East, the teachers carry fully automatic weapons. Obviously there's a different situation there, but so when the situation calls for it, I do kind of see the merit of it. And I also do worry about what you're saying about like the trauma, the mental trauma. I know some kids definitely would not feel right if their teacher was carrying, and
sure.
Some kids will feel safe, or some kids will feel less safe. It'd be a whole different dynamic. I
agree. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, and kind of the final thing I'll say around it is, what are you more worried about? Are your kid traumatized from feeling like they were locked up in a school, or a school shooting? I think that's something we got to think about.
Safety first.
Safety first, always.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just, I really enjoyed, kind of opening up about this stuff with you guys, because it's kind of like one of those harder topics to talk about with just like your, random people that you may encounter, with work or, mutual friends or whatever. But, I think that's gonna wrap us up for the day. And just to go back over what the Unrefined Unwind podcast is about, is we're just going over our personal interests, talking about things in pop culture, and we really want to start highlighting here. We're going to start getting into the local businesses and local artists in our area, and really just trying to figure out what's going on in Fayetteville, and really just try to tell people where the good stuff's at, and figure out where all this energy is coming from, because there's a lot of it here. Ryan, anything?
Yeah, well, I just want to give some insight on what we plan to talk about in our next episode too, because obviously this was a great discussion, a lot of talking points, a lot of good thoughts. But in our next podcast, we are going to be going into the Enneagram test. So we're each going to take that on truity.com.
Okay.
We encourage the audience to take it. We're going to have a link posted to our Twitter page and in our other social media. So we're really looking forward to that. And
so we're all going to we're all going to take those and we're all going to reveal the results, so to speak, uncovering them on the podcast live, quote unquote. We're not going to reveal them and talk about it amongst ourselves before. We're just going to uncover it naturally.
Well, I've already taken it, and so it said I was insane, so I might not make it to the next pod.
Okay.
We'll see.
And this has been the Unrefined Unwind.